Year 1, Daniel Connor was the champ, won the Pine Tree Cup from the late great Sir Colin Meads. In Year 2, Jaden Dodge took the honours. And in Year 3, Daniel Connor was back for his second title. Who's it going to be in Year 4? SsangYong Action Racing Series brought to you by BNZ, LDV, Hankook, Elf and BGW Wheels. Hampton Downs plays host to the opening round of the SsangYong Racing Series for 2017-2018. It's all part of the Hampton Downs 500, the support races using the long track for the first time, the full international circuit. But it was a challenging opening day with wet weather at Hampton Downs, especially for 10 of the drivers, a third of the field all been on debut. Another feature, of course, for this one-make series is the fact that it's a really good development series for New Zealand motorsport. So, a great challenge for a third of the field and for some of the superstars out in front. Race 1, Ryan Bailey starts on pole, and expert comments from former champ Mark Pedersen. How do you think the field's going to line up with so many new drivers and the stars from the past?
It's going to be a pretty tough order, Brownie, but we've got to take full credit to the Ute in 7th. That high, and this is his first time ever in one of the SsangYong Utes on this track and in the rain, so to be 7th among this illustrious field is one heck of an effort.
So, a big field of 30 cars, 29 lining up in the wet. What a way to start racing for 2017-2018, and once again, look at that, 1, 2, 3, 4 wide going down into that horrendous first corner here at Hampton Downs because it's blind and it's fast. Oh, and it could be aquaplaning today.
Right in the mid-pack there, Brownie. We're going to see them go full credit. They got around turn 1, turn 2, 3, 4 and 5 is all new to these guys in these racing conditions and the international track. So anything is going to happen, it's going to start unfolding from this point onwards.
And this is all new territory for them here because they've gone past that normal corner and now they're flying down towards the big sweeper at the end of the full international track, and it tightens up really quick.
Yeah, it does. You know, they've done a number of laps in practice and qualifying, but not with 30 Utes going side by side. And we know from a history that they can do it in the dry, but do it in the wet is going to be another thing.
Then, of course, they're going to loop back around. It tightens up, running over the ripple strips into the double-basted corner, which is a classic part of this international circuit. As you can see here, it's a big, long sweeper going into double-basted, and then you're back onto the rest of the other track where it joins up. So what an exciting challenge, even for the guys who've been here before.
Well, it is. The other thing, too, is that we've got to be careful of the puddles, okay? It has been pouring down here, and the puddles have become a factor. They don't know where they are, and the guy up front, he's got the benefit, he's got all the vision. Second, third, fourth backwards, they're basically driving blind. Oh, big hit.
Oh, contact, Christina Orr-West.
Kirk Stone was involved in that, the rest of the field shuffling through. Interesting to get another take on that because Christina was actually turning down to the apex. Here we go. Kirk Stoneman. Ooh.
Just looks like he slid in the wet round the higher pull hairpin.
Actually, interesting, Brownie. When he went down, he had no engine speed, i.e. he had his foot on the clutch, so he had no car control.
So this is going to be one of the great challenges, even for the experienced drivers in the SsangYong Racing Series today, because the weather is such a levelling factor here.
Wow, it is, but look at these guys going out front here. This is going hammer and tong, up the front straight. Sorry, that's out of turn 1 going into turn 2. These guys are showing each other no quarter, are they? Keep in mind it is slippery, it's greasy, there's puddles, and this is still, these guys are still pioneering.
And the spray, it's also very difficult to see too.
Yeah, it is. You know, these two guys out front, they've got the advantage, you've got clean track, but everybody behind them is going to be struggling. Nice side-by-side pass. Now, if Ryan Bailey stayed, a bit of debris, so some of them were probably moved out of the way. Looking in the mirrors. That's what I like about this category. They're looking after each other, looking left, they're looking right, trying to find out where they are, and you need to do that probably more so in the wet than you do in the dry.
Daniel Connor with the #1 Ute, coming off 2016, 2017 into 17, 18, and already showing why he is the champ. Because in these sort of conditions, you've got to be able to drive with your wing mirrors, your reversing mirror, and of course, exactly where you are and knowing where you are on the track in comparison to all the other drivers is so important. Rowan Shepherd almost running a bit wide.
Sorry, but you say that if you look at the couple of Utes behind, half the wing mirrors are folded in, so you've got to have that presence of mind about you as a driver You got to know when you got to be the aggressor, you know when you got to be conservative, and when you got to be the protector. But Rowan Shepherd, 2NZ, but the Ute in front of him, that's Callum Hedge. Keep in mind, this young fella's only 13 years of age, second season. So to be racing in that position, showing a great deal of maturity.
Shows you how tough these Utes are too. Christina All-West took a bit of a shunt, back racing again and challenging back up through the field. 2.3 litre Mercedes-Benz motors. Really good, compact, one-make series of motor racing that's teaching the driver skills and all the drafting skills. But today it's just hanging on skills in the wet.
There's one of the debutantes out there, the scholarship winner, out very wide. But hey, look, I can't emphasise how hard it is to race around this track in these conditions when you've been doing it for 10 or 15 years, let alone being your first ever time.
Short, sharp format for the weekend with 4 races Saturday and Sunday, so it's a great chance for all these drivers, new and used, and experienced, to get some good seat time and just sort of settle in like this guy, Matt Hyam. What a debut.
Oh, absolutely. You know, I was speaking to him earlier in the weekend, and he's done a bit of drifting, done a bit of V8 racing, so he said the drifting's probably helped in these conditions more so than any other form of racing he's done. Oh, bit of debris. Actually, it's that whole bumper, and it's probably won't matter too much. It's all plastic, so you can run over that and spit off the side of the track without doing any damage.
Notice the different racing lines too, Mork, around different parts of the corner where, you know, in the wet you can actually search out for different parts of the track that gives you a bit more traction.
Yeah, correct. Callum Hedge probably done the wrong thing there. He's right down to the apex of the corner, but in these conditions, Brownie, you want to stay off the apex as much as you can, because all the grip is actually a little bit further out, 1 or 2 Ute lengths out.
And those puddles causing a real problems for some of the corners too, so once you've been around the circuit 3 or 4 times, you've got to know where it's good to pass down here into the hairpin. The Pirelli Porsche hairpin is always a good spot to duck down the inside.
Yeah, look, that's Callum Hedge in 3rd place. Said a couple of laps ago, the young fella, mate, he's getting all the pressure put on him by 2 very seasoned campaigners. He's not doing a foot wrong. You know, he's given space when it's needed, being aggressive when he needs to be. And this is the other guy. I rate this guy, say, early part of his career in the SsangYong Utes, but he's a hard charger.
What's been the biggest thing for some of the new guys getting into these vehicles about making the adjustment to how you drive them, especially when they know that everyone else has got the same set of wheels?
Oh, it's everything. It's the minute you bolt yourself in and shut the door and go out. That's the braking, the lack of acceleration. That's not a criticism. They just don't have huge horsepower to get the guys out of trouble. 4-speed gearbox, so you don't have six gears to select and keep slotting them down. So you've got to learn racecraft, and you learn it very early.
So number 1, Daniel Connor out in front from Ryan Bailey, number 39. 17 ducking down on the inside, trying to make a move as Callum Hedge. And once again, here we are, Rowan Shepherd. Gee, he's always there knocking on the door, isn't he, number 2NZ?
Every picture you see, he's normally there, and he understands to win a championship. You don't have to win every race. You just got to be consistent in every race.
So he'll be pushing hard for a podium spot. Can he hang on to it? Callum Hedge has actually had a pretty good race so far, so he'll be disappointed to let Rowan slip through. There's that puddle, which has been causing a few problems. Rest of the field spread out down the back, so quite a little sort of cross-section of the front runners up front dominating the race, and the rest just trying to hang on to it.
Well, there he is, Rowan Shepherd, yeah, commentator's curse.
Here we go, down into the tip, into the old Porsche hairpin here. Rowan Shepherd under attack from young Callum.
These guys are going to go side by side here. Now, if they don't do anything silly and run each other out of room, they're going to come down to the last corner, still side by side.
And you've got to be careful when you get on the gas coming out of the hairpin there, because if you can do it too much, was it last year we had one of the cars shoot up onto the bank?
Yeah, look, to be honest, I'm actually quite surprised we haven't seen more sideways or off action. These guys and girls surviving this race really is a testament to the skill level, albeit some of them are still developing their skill.
Great finish, Daniel Connor on track for the win, and look at these two guys pushing each other out, 2NZ, Callum Hedge. They were too wide coming out of the big loop onto the big fast straight. Connor will get the checkered flag for win number 1, car number 1. Bailey second, oh, down to the line was a Callum Hedge out wide, photo finish. What a way to start the season. Connor gets the first win, Bailey second, and Callum Hedge, yes, he held on for third from the flying Rowan Shepherd. Bennett, Brook, Mallard, Gibson, Whitley, And the rest of the field coming home. Kane Barry in there as well. Christina All-West finished after that shunt early on in the opening lap. And some of the other newcomers getting a taste of what it's like to be in the racing series with the SsangYong Action Utes.
Daniel, congratulations, mate. First place.
Yeah, thank you. It was a tough race. All the boys have stepped up this year, so real slippery and heaps of fun. So yeah, no, it was a good race, and hopefully we can be quick in the next one.
It was a bit like survival of the fittest out there, but the guys up the front, they know what they're doing, so it was just trying to manage the cars behind me, trying to keep Daniel from not pulling away. So yeah, it was good. It was a lot drier out there then than what our qualifying was, so no, happy with the result. Good way to start the championship.
It was a good race, battling with Ryan and Rowan for most of the race, and then managed to come out in front of Rowan across the line, which is pretty cool.
Good skills. What a way to start the season. A wet race, a fantastic result for the defending champion, and a busy time for the race crews as they get set to get ready for race number 2 in the SsangYong Action Racing Series. One of the new features of the new season is an exciting new scholarship to give a young driver the chance to feel what it's like to get behind the wheel in the SsangYong Action Racing Series.
My name is Peter Vidanovic. I'm 16 years old. I'm from Mission Bay, Auckland, New Zealand. My aim for the season is to have fun and hopefully try finish in the top half of the pack. My favourite meal has got to be an eye fillet with béarnaise sauce, and my favourite movie has got to be Rush. My favourite racing car driver has got to be Shane van Gisbergen.
So a lot at stake for the young driver with the scholarship winner. Talking about young drivers, Matt Heim on debut, and here he is on pole for race number 2, followed by some of the other stars, and there's Peter Vidanovic, number 125, the scholarship winner, starting in 18th place. What a rush for him and all the other drivers as we get set for the second showdown in the big wet, and Tessa Field rounding out the field in 4:51 and 29th on the grid. Still a bit of spray out there for Hampton Downs, race number 2 in the SsangYong Action Racing Series. And how's it going to be for Matt Heim with the rolling start? Down the front straight for the second showdown. Whoa, into that first corner. What a way to start at Hampton Downs.
And of course, changing conditions for this race here, Brownie, you'll see there's actually a bit of a dry line. So they were pioneers in race 1, and there's certainly going to be pioneers in race 2, because there's going to be a lot more grip, a lot of action happening in the background, which was our Academy winner. So these guys are going to come bailing into turn 2, and there's going to be a lot more grip, but just how much grip they're going to have, time's only going to tell. Rowan Shepherd having a look down the inside. This could cause carnage if it goes wrong.
1, 2, 3, 4 wide down the big long straight on the full international track, the long track. Some of them onto the grass already. That's what's happened. Well, it's pretty easy when you've got about 3 or 4. Look at them skidding wide. Yeah. Still very slippery.
Well, it is, yeah, but they've got a lot more drive. They've got a lot more braking capacity. They've got a lot more cornering speed now. So, you know, lap 1, turn 2, turn 3, they're all still trying to work out who's got the most grip.
On board with car number 82, Kane Barry. Done a lot of motorsport. Looks like he may be hung out to dry a little bit here. Oh, onto the grass. Gets it back onto the tarmac though, so using all his knowledge, trying to duck down the inside.
Well, that was all part of that pioneering I was talking about, Brownie. He got to the middle corner there, and that's the current champion. Got it sideways, but managed to survive.
Shepherd having a look down the inside around the Porsche hairpin here, down through that dipper.
Now we're hearing that current noise. We're hearing brake locking. We wouldn't have heard that. That's Daniel kind of getting very close and rather aggressive going into the hairpin. But we can hear the brake locking. That means the absolute maximum of the tyre grip going into the corner. So these guys are trying hard.
What about the difference in the level of grip from the wet to the drying conditions now? How does that change the driving style?
Oh, it changes a lot. They won't know themselves at this point in time. So, you know, going to get back to a bit of racing, a bit of drafting. But it's, I guess, the part of the equation is the tyre pressures. You know, do you want it to come on, Ute come on lap 1, 2, or 3, 4, and 5? So that's all part of the calculation. And for these debutants in this series, they've got to take that into account in this race. It's another learning curve for them.
Wouldn't it be good to get behind a guy like Rowan Shepherd? Because
no, not at the moment.
But in terms of sort of like learning how to do the drafting and then making the most, follow him, shadow him around for a lap or so to sort of get yourself settled in.
Oh, absolutely, it would be. Yeah, like any of those top 5 or 6 drivers, they've just got so much racecraft that the debutants can only learn from that.
And that's where you can really develop your drafting skills, which is one of the features of this one-make series of motor racing that has been developing so many good young drivers and involving some very experienced drivers as well, like this young kid, Callum Hedge, 13-year-old.
Yeah, he's having a good, hard, honest battle there. And like I pumped him up in race 1 and I'll continue to do so. He's showing maturity beyond his years at the moment.
Fantastic feature of the track, of course, here at Hampton Downs is it's got so many changes in height, undulation, so it's not just a flat track. You can't just go out and be a flat track bully. You've actually got to finesse the car around some of these corners.
And to out finesse, Murray Brook, you know, we saw him have an outstanding round of the endurance race. He's continued that on here. And here's our debutant, a little bit sideways out one of the corners, but thankfully in these SsangYong Utes, it doesn't hurt you too much.
Matt Heim, number 23, started on pole, drifting back down through the field, but still hanging on to it.
And it's hard, honest, good racing, isn't it?
Actually doing a pretty good job, isn't he? When you think about where he started from and where he still is, he's under pressure, but he's hanging on to that second spot.
Yeah, he's going to have to learn an awful lot of racecraft, but the problem he's got, though, is that once someone gets down the inside of him, if he doesn't manage to control the emotions and understand and go side by side and be defensive, he may get swamped by the train.
Matt Gibson, good break on the field out in front. Hyam coming under pressure. Look at that train, really trying to challenge, push their way through. Good recovery there from Daniel Connor. On board with number 2 NZ, Rowan Shepherd.
He's just trying to find where his strengths are, where his weaknesses are, and if the opportunity presents itself like what's about to happen in front here, he'll just slot straight down the inside.
One of the great features of Hampton Downs is...
okay, yeah, look.
Oh, a little bit of a touch, rubbing his racing.
And that's what I was talking about, the emotion there. It's sideways, still continues, but Matt should have probably just freed the Ute up in the middle of the corner and gone side by side around instead of trying to defend it, and they probably would have got away with it.
That was a big don't argue and welcome to the SsangYong Action Racing Series, wasn't it?
It certainly was, with capital letters and a full stop, wasn't it? But he'll learn from that. Oh, huge big down changes.
Fantastic first corner coming off that big long straight with a couple of kinks. Kane Barry got to really be able to feather it without going too wide onto the grass. Now you can wind it up along this big long straight.
And of course, every lap we run in the SsangYong Ute series is a lap of the track drying. So, you know, if they broke it 100 metres the lap before, it might be 80 or it might be 60 the following lap. So, you know, they just can't work on the assumption it's going to be the same because it's drying. They've got to keep charging, keep charging, keep charging. And this guy's busy, Daniel Connor. He's just throwing it in, isn't he?
Fantastic part of this long track. How very quick those corners. Riding the ripple strips. Back on board with number 82, Kane Barry. Trying to get the draft. Going late onto the brakes, trying to duck down the inside, but set himself up for the short straight before the big long sweeper onto the main straight. Running a bit wide, as you can see. Big stack of cars, all side by side, following each other. Getting that drafting position.
Yeah, you're right. Probably not so much drafting going into this corner, but certainly if you can execute the middle part of this corner where they are right now, get a good flow going, get a good drive, then the draft definitely becomes a factor.
Now is when it becomes a factor, because now they're setting themselves up for it. And can they make the move at the end of the straight down into that very exciting first corner?
Board here with Rowan Shepherd. Of course, the man in front of him is Peter Bennett. So, of course, Peter's still relatively new, and this is Daniel Connor. He's actually slowing. Interesting, Brownie. You'll see there's no... Okay, you'll see that to the right, number 2. Okay, that's the gear selection. tells us what's geared in. So that's a bit of contact there. The other footage we saw, there was no dash at all. There you go. Whole ignition system shut down on that ute.
So he's got problems there after contact with Whitley. In fact, a win in race 1 and a DNF in race 2. What a way to start the season. Track's certainly drying out now. Perfect timing too for Matt Gibson. He's going to win number 2, followed by Peter Bennett and then Rowan Shepherd. The top 3 took advantage of some of the spills further back down the field. So Gibson gets his first win of the season, followed by Bennett and then Rowan Shepherd rounding out the top 3. Whitley, Bailey, Brook, all west. And as you'll see further back down the field, Peter Vidanovic, the young scholarship driver, started in 18, finished in 17, so made up 1 spot. But a change in fortunes for the man out in front, Daniel Connor and Matt Heim as well.
Before I went out, I went and had a look at the track. I realised that the track was actually drying out, so I said to the team, you know, let's kind of go half between a wet setup, half between a dry setup, and you know, hope like how it stays dry, and it did. So no, very happy with the way the Right Tanks ute performed, and I'm obviously happy to get the win in race 2 of the season.
All of the late nights in the shed in the off season, it's all come together with a second place. Matt was in a league of his own in that race, but congrats to him. But yeah, we had an awesome race coming from 5th to 2nd. Super impressed.
Just tried to keep it pretty clean. I saw a lot of action going on behind me, and yeah, the guys in front were just doing a good job, so I thought I'd just follow them through. So well done to Matt. It's a great win for him. So you know, 3rd's positive for us as well.
So 2 down, 2 to go. Another one of the great features about the SsangYong Racing Series is the off-track camaraderie, the annual Saturday night barbecue. It's a great chance for all the drivers to become mates off the track when they go racing on the track. And sit back and have a chat about what's at stake over the weekend. Nothing like chewing the fat with the bloke or the lady beside you before you get out there and line up on the grid for race number 3. Callum Head starting on pole, along with Rowan Shepherd, Bennett, Whitley, Connor, All-West, Bailey, Brook, Gibson, Mallard. So an experienced lineup up front. Barry and the likes leading the rest of the pack. And some of the debutants further back down the field. And the good news is the weather is cleared. So they've had a thrilling opening start to the series. Now it's 2 more races to go, and who can take advantage of a dry track on Sunday? Race number 3.
And of course, Brownie, the grid for this one is determined by the fastest race times in race 1 or 2. So this grid is actually on merit.
And the race times will actually change too, because now the track is dry. We'll get a real indication of just how quick these cars can actually go around the long track. Oh, one of them's almost gone too wide.
Well, we can see the aggressiveness already just in the second corner. They're line astern, they're rubbing, they're using that bump draft already. So this is well and truly game on.
Peter Vidanovic, the young scholarship winner, number 125, the 16-year-old, loves the stake, loves that movie Rush, and of course a big fan of SVG, Shane Van Gisbergen. So, gee, he's got his priorities all set out for the season. He would have enjoyed the Barbie last night.
Well, I'm pretty certain everybody will be enjoying this racing, but keep in mind, because this grid is based off race time, so basically cream's risen to the top, they have to execute their moves very early in this race. They can't afford to wait for lap 2 or 3, because the race is established, and that's why we've seen everybody being so aggressive. Peter Bennett in the background there, a little bit sideways. You have to charge, you've got to make your stance, and you've got to execute it very early.
Fantastic flow coming out of that corner though. As you ride the ripple strips and just let the car drift across and then ease that throttle on. But of course, if you've got another car coming up on the inside, they can cause a few problems. Rowan Shepherd already, him talking about the chances for the weekend. He's dead set keen on consistency, isn't he? Building points through podium places.
It is, Brownie. You can't lose a championship in round 1, but you certainly lay a very good foundation to win the championship.
And he'll be out there just to sort of play that psychological game that I've got 2NZ on the side of my window, and I've had it for about 2 or 3 years, and I'm sick and tired of it. And so he'll be really determined to make sure that he can lay down the law and be the man to beat.
Down to second gear, you'll see that indicator on the right-hand side. That tells everybody, well, tells the driver, of course, us because of the TV footage, exactly what gear they're in. So he comes down off turn 1 and second, up to third, probably up to fourth. Callum Hedge, Alexandra Whitley having a crack at each other. Good, hard, honest racing.
One of them's gone onto the grass, number 64. He gets back on.
It's a battle for the lead here. They're going to go right around the outside, corner for corner, and that's what I love about this SsangYong Ute racing. This is the dynamics that can happen, side by side, corner for corner.
And giving each other a bit of racing room too. Whitley, Shepherd, 17, young Callum Hedge, ducking down the inside. Gee, he's on a fast curve and going really well. Shepherd once again maintaining the inside line into the apex and holds on to that top spot. Good racing.
It is, yeah. And if these guys are all worked out, right, that if you decide that you're going to be silly and try to cut each other off, because they don't have a great deal of power, you're going to get swamped by the rest of the train. So, you know, you've got to be aggressive, but you've also got to work with the Utes around you to make sure that if you do falter, that the impact is minimal.
What I love about this is actually they're all going with the flow. So you can actually see how they're following each other's racing lines and just letting the cars drift out, really working the track, working the tyres, getting themselves set up for the best possible place to pass so you can make that move without, you know, causing any damage or taking someone else out.
You're right, there's just two different lines we saw. Rowan Shepherd, he goes up high and just throws the Ute down to the apex of the corner. As Alexandra there in second place, you kind of massage it down to the apex, but this is where the draft will kick in. So are we going to see the Ute in front pop out to the left or the right and try to make a move on Rowan Shepherd? Gosh, close. Very
cloudy
close.
and cool, but it's hot racing in Hampton Downs as part of the HD 500. Down the inside, Shepherd round the outside, too wide into turn 1.
Yeah, if Alexandra can live there, she'll probably take the benefit going to turn 2. She's going to stay there. Rowan's going to go. Now, he can drift across to the left on the footage. He can't then come straight back to the right again. That's deemed a double movement. Officials will take a very dim view of that.
Whitley.
There you go. Yeah, kind of hard across the belt.
She's got her wits about her this weekend, holding on to it. And the Waikato SsangYong Ute.
Now, what can she do? She's got the lead. We know that Callum Hedge has been quite a determined young man there in third place, so Rowan has to make a decision. Did you defend the second? Or do you try to take the lead back and try to clear out?
Well, she's in the chief spot right now if you're a Waikato supporter. Another great thing about the series is the fact you've got drivers from all around the country, haven't you?
You have, all come from different backgrounds, different pedigrees, so, you know, for them all to come here into the SsangYong Utes, and because, oh, she's a little bit sideways, see that? Took initial turn on the apex and lost a bit of speed. Daniel Connor being very aggressive.
And how's this for experience? You make one little slip up and look who makes the most of it. Daniel Connor. Oh, wow! Someone got into the side of him.
Yeah, probably Callum Hedge. He probably just turned down to the apex a little bit earlier, trying to think that Callum was going to back out of it, but we know he's not going to do it. He's a young charger.
Bennett round the outside. One of the civil Utes. Great side, isn't it? Opening weekend. And a freight train of SsangYong Action Racing Utes.
I love hearing that tyre squealing. That means that they're all at 100% capacity. All having an honest crack. In this corner here, Brownie, you've got to keep the momentum going, and you really, the exit, or this part of the track, is determined by how you actually enter the corner. You don't want to scrub off too much speed, but you don't want to go in there too fast where you actually miss the apex and you scrub speed coming off. So it's a very fine balance between getting it right and getting it wrong.
What about going into here, turn 1, last lap?
Nah, chuck her in. I hope you come out the other side.
Classic. Chuck her in and good luck.
Yeah.
Hang on to it. Here we go. That's the beauty of motor racing. Off the ripples onto the tarmac. Down the long straight, part of the full international track. Whitley hanging on to it, running a bit wide. Shepherd, last lap. Can he go back to back and get another win?
Well, that's the problem now, is that you start looking in the mirrors when you're leading the race. Where are they? Where are they?
And both drivers looking for their first win of the opening weekend. Whitley, can she handle the pressure? Shepherd trying to force the mistake, and look who's lurking. Daniel Connor already had a win and then a DNF, so he'll be determined to make up for his problems in race number 2. Hedge hanging around the back in position 4.
Just can't help think Rowan Shepherd has just set himself up for a last corner move, okay? So what you want to do here, Brownie, going through these 2 corners, is Rowan needs to make life as uncomfortable as he can for Alexandra, and hope she goes too defensive at this part of the track. He frees the Ute up mid-corner and gets an absolute flyer coming into the sweeper.
Hedge trying to chuck it down the inside, coming out of the Porsche dipper.
Yep, so 1 corner to go. So she's got all the hard work to do. She's just got to hit all the apexes, hit all the targets going into the sweeper. And then those other guys have got the draft coming over the top. So she's got to be defensive and aggressive both at the same time.
The wheels are
sorry,
swirling.
Brownie. She's got it wrong. She didn't free the Ute up enough on the outside. Scrub speed off. The draft is now going to come up. Big factor.
So Shepherd, has he got the draft right? Connor trying to draft. Whitley trying to hang on. Down the line, onto the grass. 3 wide, checkered flag. What a finish.
There you go. That's exactly what I was talking about. Not freeing the Ute up away out of the corner.
So Rowan Shepherd gets his first win of the season, a dramatic finish, a dead heat for second, but that'll actually go to Daniel Connor, who had the faster lap time compared to Alexandra Whitley. Plenty of action further back down the field. Bennett getting up to 13th, so he's making some improvements. Kane Barry hanging in there. And once again, Matt Heim on the fast lane, the fast curve 2, learning all about racing in the series.
I had a good run coming out of that last corner, and I saw her just lose a little bit coming out, and I knew it was my chance, but I saw Daniel hunting up pretty quick behind us also, so I was a little bit unsure of whether I had enough on top of him as well, because I couldn't actually see him.
It was a tough race. I struggled yesterday in the rain and last season, but Gary Pedersen and his boys have done a fantastic job to get me back up the front and on the podium.
Everyone else was having some passes, and I sort of sat there until the time was right, you know, and got by. So I was lucky on that last lap, just got a good draft, and Rowan went to the outside, I went to the inside, and yeah, pulled it off, so that was cool.
So 3 races, 3 different winners and 3 different track conditions. What a great start to the season. Race number 4, the final showdown of the weekend coming up.
Hey guys, Daniel Connor here, series champion last year. We've had a really good weekend so far, apart from our DNF in race 2. Starting the race 4 somewhere in the pack, but we'll battle hard and we'll try and get the win.
So here's the grid as they line up for the 4th and final showdown of the weekend, with Rowan Shepherd on pole, followed by Bennett, Bailey, Hedge, Whitley, Gibson, Connor. And it's all about the points for the weekend. 3 different races, 3 different winners so far. Will we get a 4th in race 4? Once again, a rolling start and changing conditions too. So a great chance for the younger drivers to, well, they would have certainly shaken off their nerves, but now all the experienced stars out in the front. As you can see, it's a really good dry track now, so the times will come rocketing down for race 4 in the SsangYong Action Racing Series.
Of course, this race is all important because whoever wins this will exit this round going in as Friday Championship leader. So very tight at the top of the points table. So there is an awful lot to play for in this one.
Playing support for the Hampton Downs 500 one weekend, and then support for the Supercars another weekend from Hampton to Pukekohe. So very exciting start for this field of 29 drivers. Youth, excitement, experience, and totally engaged, mate. And
sometimes a little bit of red mist to throw in there as well, Brownie.
Any angle like NASCAR? No biff and bash off the track?
Oh, yeah, there is a little bit, but most of it's contained on the track, thank goodness. And because of the dynamics of the Utes, you know, you can go side by side, and rubbing is racing, but, you know, if you put someone in a compromising position, then 1 or 2 things will happen. Either they'll pay it back, or the officials will jump in and then take over, and then probably got to decide who's right or wrong and then put penalties in accordingly.
But with back-to-back weekends, when you go from the Hampton Downs 500 here to the Supercars at Pukekohe, the last thing you want to do is have a lot of panel damage and spend, you know, have the Ute in the workshop all week trying to fix things.
Yeah, no, it's a disaster, because all you do is you lose momentum, momentum's important. Now, Daniel Connor, the man we just saw, trying to make up places. It's Christine Orr he's battling with there, and she'll never give a quarter, so it'll be a good battle to watch.
So it's got to be smart, fast, tough racing, but fair.
Correct. And that's all we ask for. You know, Rubbins racing, that happens all day, every day. And responsibility is normally on both operators or both drivers, so you've got to give each other racing room without being silly about it.
Connor, number 1, started the season with a win, then out of DNF, talked about being back in the mid-pack, and that's where you've got to use your experience. You've only got about 6 laps, rolling start, to try and get up, let the other guys cause a bit of damage out wide, and that's almost what happened up front.
Yeah, but the thing you take into the equation, Brownie, and Matt Gibson having an honest cracker at Alexandra, is that if you're having a battle with a Ute and only 6 laps, sometimes you're better off saying, look, let's go line astern, let's take the battle to each other instead of racing each other, and see what unfolds.
Peter Bennett in the MWN Civil Ute, number 28, getting right up behind Rowan Shepherd, drifting wide. Ryan Bailey hanging in there as well in the white Ute.
And that racing is exactly what we asked for them. Side-by-side racing, a little bit of leaning, but nothing sinister in it.
A lot of experience in the minis beforehand. Ryan Bailey, a great guy, loves his motorsport.
He's tight on the exit, so he's going to suffer on the way out here. Rowan Shepherd actually gone off. The race leader gone off the track.
Oh, mistake there. So Shepherd's dropped right back down into the mid-pack battle.
Yep, certainly has, and that's what I was saying about that faltering. You've only got to blink an eye, and away you go.
What if he missed a gear?
Yeah, look, the gear indicator didn't show it. Whatever reason, maybe he got hooked in the gear, and when he went to change it couldn't happen, but either way, from first to, 6th or 7th, in the space of 1 corner.
So Ryan Bailey takes the lead. Whitley, she was right up there in that previous race. What a dramatic finish. How's she going to handle this one this time?
She's kind of the meat and sandwich there, isn't she? She's got Matt Gibson, who's already won a race this weekend, and of course Peter Bennett, albeit his 2nd season in the SsangYong Utes. He's a hard charger, and he's still gaining experience all the way through, so it's going to be a very hard battle for all these guys in front.
Now, have they still got the longest engagement going?
I believe so, yes.
So
well,
Bennett
here's what happens here, of course.
They're still totally engaged on the track and totally engaged off the track. Sweeping out of turn 1 here at Hampton Downs for the final showdown of the weekend. Ryan Bailey has got a real good run down the long track into this fast-flowing, tight turning corner. Oh, Whitley! Oh, sorry, Pete.
Sorry, hun. Yeah. Didn't mean for that to happen, but hey, look, she got down the inside, realised that she'd made an error, and backed out of it and let the readdress take place. And you know, that's exactly what we asked for.
We'll be discussing that
Rowan
later
Shepherd
on.
off again in the background, so 2nd time in as many laps.
So Shepherd's having a few issues in this race, isn't he?
Well, yeah, he's probably got a little bit unravelled by leading the race and getting shuffled back, and then of course you start racing with company you haven't been involved in for the previous 3 races, so sometimes that can be the cause of what we've seen.
One of some of the tyres are just starting to go off because you can see some of the cars just sliding around. A little bit of dust there, so they've had rain, wet, slippery conditions on day 1. Now a little bit of the dust sweeping across the track, but dry conditions today on day 2.
Yeah, and it's because when you start in the middle of the pack, what you do is you engineer the Ute to come on very early, so you got a lot of mechanical grip in the first 2 or 3 laps, and then you survive the rest of the race. But if you start off the front, you normally try to, survive the first 2 or 3 laps, wait for the Ute to come up to temperature, then you've got a strong platform to finish the race with.
Funny you say that. That's exactly what Ryan Bailey was telling us after the opening races. It was a real battle of survival, including All West. He's already had one little wee ding and a dent this weekend, which is not surprising. Not her fault.
Right.
Just the fact you've got 29 Utes on the track at the same time.
Well, you've got to expect that with that many. Ken Hunter there in the bright green Ute. One of the seasoned campaigners of this category.
Circuit here at Hampton Downs, certainly fantastic facilities now. Tony Quinn's done a great job with the GT Series. Really laying down a fantastic chance for the locals to make the most of getting onto the long circuit.
Yeah, 2 guys. Oh, here we go. Contact. That's silly stuff by Peter Bennett. He went in, made contact Ryan Bailey, made no attempt, Brownie, to get out of the throttle whatsoever and drove him off the track.
So that could be an issue for the stewards at the end of the race.
Daniel Connor slowing right down.
Geez, had more dramas.
He's got ignition because last time we saw that Ute had no dash lights, so for whatever reason, he won't even need the pit limiter, he's going that slow.
So he has one good one followed by one bad one. That's been his weekend so far. So Bennett, last lap, but after taking out Ryan Bailey, he may cross the line for the checkered flag. Will he hold on to that top spot though?
Yes, Rowan Shepherd, we spoke about this earlier, he can come across.
Bailey's like a hay baler.
You can see the hands working overtime, left to right trying to capture that, and that's one of these things. He made a dive out, probably got a little bit unsettled, missed the brake markers, but man, he done a fantastic job to haul it up.
That's a classic case of the red mist. He'd be an angry man, wouldn't he?
Yeah, look, that accident with Peter Bennett, it's obviously going to play out in the judicial system afterwards, no doubt, so be interesting to see what comes of all of that.
So he'll be determined to drive back through the field along with Rowan Shepherd. Look at the stuff hanging on the bottom of his car. In fact, he's lost his bumper as well, so boy, has he been in the wars.
Yeah, it probably won't make a great deal of difference, but certainly, and you made comment before, Brownie, because of the back-to-back weekends, you know, they don't want to minimise the amount of damage to minimise the amount of workload.
So it's Bennett out in front, but the guy that could be in the top spot is number 88. That's Matt Gibson.
Well, potentially, this battle for second, third and fourth, if there is a penalty imposed on Peter Bennett, could actually be the battle for the lead. And we saw what happened in the previous race of Alexandra Whitley. She made a bit of a blunder on the way out. It cost her the race lead, so if Matt Gibson falters, then the two ladies, Alexandra and Christina, they may be the benefactors.
Wheels screeching for the final time, the final corner in the final race of the opening weekend for the SsangYong Action Racing Series. Peter Bennett, he's going to cross the line in first, but I don't think he's going to hold on to the win. That should go to Gibson, followed by Whitley. And a bit of drama for the driver observers. So it's Gibson who gets the win, followed by Whitley, Christina Orwest. Great to see the ladies up there on the podium to wrap up the weekend in the SsangYong Action Racing Series. Plenty of the other young drivers getting their first taste of the weekend as well. An exciting start to the series as they head from Hampton Downs to Pukekohe.
We had lots of pace in that race. It was one of those 50-50 moves. We went for it. There was a little bit of contact. I'm not sure whether he saw me or not, but I believe we were fair enough up there. But just awesome to get the MWN Ute up the front of the pack. That's just awesome for the start of the season.
The second place is where we finished on the track, but there's a bit of inquiry going on, so might get the win at this. Might even get the win. So hopefully we do. It'll be good for the Right Tanks team. We've been working extremely hard over the weekend with a bit of a disappointing qualifying with the P11. So to bring it home with 2 wins over the weekend, very happy.
We were fast at the beginning of the race and went off a little bit at the end. The boys didn't give an inch, and I was racing side by side with my fiance, so it's a bit hard to know what the limit is, but it was a great race.
Yes, find the limit, stay on it. What a great way to start the SsangYong Action Racing Series, the opening weekend at the Hampton Downs 500. 4 races, 3 different winners, all set for a super season ahead. SsangYong Action Racing Series brought to you by BNZ, LDV, Hankook, Elf and BGW Wheels.